Mars. The next stage for the space race pissing contest. That was the goal for this place, Arcjet Systems. A strange building with a scandalous story, one that threatened to ruin the company completely, and that we shall take a look at today. It is not fully accessible until a certain quest, with a certain person, be found in Cambridge. But what that quest is, and who that somebody may be, is up to you to find out. The lobby is gone ever so slightly tits up. The staircase is not collapsed if you come in here before the quest, but will be during it, as this is how they prevent you from accessing the rest of the building before it starts. The first room we come across tells of the butchery and slaughter a brave group of Protectrons underwent when trying to defend this place from Institute synths. They are literally torn to pieces. The terminal here gives us our first entries on this place. The first refers to security concerns. The CEO, Thomas Reinhardt, wants the security team to develop a new strategy to keep the building safe, as they just landed a contract with the USSA to develop the XMB Booster Engine. He wants double coverage and automated countermeasures, which are, in my opinion anyway, fucking insane. Also, they have a shit automated password reset system, and we will get to see that later. Yup, turrets as a security measure. Just like Anthony House. It always ends well. The badges aren't even issued, you have to sign up for one, so I'm assuming at least one person forgot to sign up, and probably got shot in the arse. The next one is the Dark Secret. Somehow, a member of the press got past security during a test fire of the rocket. In the process, they got incinerated, and Thomas wants his head of security to make it all go away. Under threat, the security head gets blamed for it. So the CEO was a paranoid bastard, wanted over-the-top security measures, and wanted a death covered up. He is a cunt. So let's talk about this, what I assume is janitor's closet. Why the fuck does it have a urinal? Were they not allowed to piss with the other employees? Did they have to shit in it as well? I just think it's really out of place. The next room gives us a look at the employees' work area, and it seems quite standard. After that, we enter a room and find a terminal to show off some shit password reset protocols. You're meant to change the password monthly, but for some reason it isn't automated, which is most likely what Thomas was complaining about. We can then reset the password, and it is quite weak. Said password can be used on the next terminal to open the door. Now we can look around the room and at the tech within. It's all quite beat up and run down, but at its peak the technology in here would have been incredibly sophisticated. At this point onwards, you will encounter synths, and the cheeky shits broke a hole in the wall. Now before anything else, why the fuck did they need to come through the front instead of just breaking open the windows? It seems like it would have saved everyone a lot of time and pissing about, including us. So first of all, we're going to the room to the left here, which will lead us to the part of the building that you can access if you show up before the quest begins. Inside this room is a legendary Protectron Guardian, as well as a wall safe and a chest of loot. Now, unlike the defense system up here, the Guardian will not respawn if you enter a second time. Now for this terminal here, and a frig load of entries. So entry number 1 tells us it took 6 months for Arcjet to get the Mars shot contract, which involved both the engine and the communication system, as we will see later. Interestingly enough, they had also started building the engine before they got the contract. Next we are introduced to Rory McClellan, an expert in nuclear propulsion systems. They paid him a shed load to come and work for them, hoping he will help them meet their deadline in 2078. Entry 3 tells us just before Christmas they are on schedule and under budget, which is very rare, and that the company is doing great, with a promise of future contracts. Per sods. So the bad news hits at 4. Engines heavy as fuck. Several hundred tons too heavy in fact, and now they're over schedule. Thomas is shitting bricks. The 5th entry is about Thomas lying to the media about how well the project is going, when in reality it's not going well at all. The 6th entry gives the good news that the engine lost weight and they are looking forward to test firing. 7 details how the media is going to show up, gawk a bit, and then take some wee pictures of the rocket. Surely nothing will go wrong. Everything went wrong. This mirrors what we already know from the terminal downstairs. Some shit wandered past security and got roasted alive during a pre-test test fire. He says Brent's got this shit, as if he drops the ball, the company is frigged. The last entry is just before the bombs dropped. The project is put on hold and we are told the deep range transmitter will have to make do until the engine is actually fitted, which of course never happens. So the company had its ups and downs, and Thomas seemed like a hard-working lad, until he tried to cover up the gruesome death of a reporter. Out here is where all the security turrets are located, which do respawn even if you clear them out the first time. In this room here we see an impressive array of terminals, with lots of shiny buttons, so this is most likely a tech department of some description, which the terminal entries confirm. The first questions their most glorious leader Thomas on whether he is being paranoid with the security measures, and then they set them up anyway. The next entry states he is paranoid as they have to install the previously mentioned turret system, and that the United States Space Administration is not the fucking military, so it's unnecessary. We then hear of David again, and that he is bitching for more mainframe storage space. It then says they want to spill over into the office sections, though based on the amount of terminals in here, I think they may have all got shoved into the one room. The last one is to do with the roasting. Brent wants all the security tapes and speaks in grunts. Of course they get paid either way, so they just give the tapes to him. So at least a few employees thought Reinhardt was being paranoid, but they never did anything about it. A quick look at the office space provides more evidence for my theory, that they just crammed more mainframes into that small room, and did not let them spill over. Within the bathrooms we come across a joke that, well, it just offended me. So 3 severed skeletal hands in a sink, next to a please wash your hands sign. Really, Bethesda? God damn it. You can get some loot in here, and then if we cross this section we find our first corpse. This poor sod. So it seems like they were having a merry time, drinking some Nuka-Cola, and then the blast most likely hit and knocked the elevator down. There's a good chance that either the fall then sudden drop killed them, or the radiation. The ground is stained with spilled Nuka-Cola, and I assume urine and excrement the body, upon death, may have voided. The reception area gives us a few small terminal entries to look at. First of all, a safe was installed in the ground to store deliveries or valuables, which works out great for us so we can steal them. Next, in regards to press information, they are not to give out any information that was not pre-approved. Back in this area, we can head up the stairs to get to the next level, and more terminal entries. This time by one of the other researchers. The first one is on the XMB fuel mixture. They are trying to convince David to use a more efficient fuel mixture, although it appears it may add a month or more onto the development schedule. The second entry in the fuel is one I can sympathise with. Reinhardt won't approve the new mixture as he's a tight-fisted arsehole. This person wants the people in the shuttle to be safe, but complains that Thomas and his ilk don't care, which is probably true. They say they will go elsewhere for work when the project is done. So 3 tells us the consequences of having a conscience. Getting reassigned to the deep range transmitter. They are tasked with getting its broadcast range up by 50%, and that it should be quite easy to do. This rings true in the last entry, only took them 3 weeks to get it up by 70%, and now they just need to make it 50% the size. The last 2 rooms don't have anything interesting in them, so we shall now progress down to the engine testing area. Power is off in parts of this area, and the engine is something else. It's about 3 stories tall, and it really gives you a sense of scale and the amount of work that would go into assembling something like this. The ground is burned and smouldering because you can utilise it to dispatch the synths that will attack you here. So first of all, let's take a look at the bottom here. Besides containing the means to fire the rocket, on the table you can also find the junk jet, and a holotape from its architect. It's entitled Technician's Personal Log.
Jeering, leering, laughing, mocking, taunting.
Oh, he graduated all right from high school. It's fine, I'm sure he took shop class. Oh look, he's reading the science mags, how cute.
Har har har. Shop class. Let's see them make this in shop class. My marvel of engineering. The finest in weaponized refuse acceleration. My beauty. My junk jet. They'll see. The engineers with their suits and fancy degrees. Come Monday morning, they'll all see.
So it was developed by a crazed technician. Based on the holotape, they were, or at least they felt they were, ridiculed by the other, more educated members of the company. The end is quite ominous. They clearly meant to do something come Monday, Perhaps they had a hand in the photographer getting past security and getting killed. Now we can take a look at the other 2 rooms inside here that can only be reached after you take the elevator to the top and drop down. The first isn't really a room, but gives us another corpse. One beside a collapsed hallway and carrying a 10mm pistol. Now I am not sure whether the collapse killed them or they shot themselves, but it does raise the question why they had the pistol in the first place. So in this room we can find a fat man, but be wary, as 2 synths can drop down from the holes in the roof, and there is more than one explosive container in here, which I learned the hard way. The terminal here belongs to David, and is the last one we will find that gives us some info on the project and Arcjet. Entry 1 begins with him saying that the military is shit, and he loves the private sector. Also, he wants astronauts to reach Mars, so this is him contributing to his dream. The second one is the one in which he breaks the news of the rocket's weight to Thomas, and then he finds out that Thomas is an arsehole, and he needs to look for work elsewhere when this is all done. Sort of a running theme with this company at this point. Next, David the Wizard goes on about his sorcery, and how he got the rocket roughly the weight of 2 newborn children under the required amount. Then, they go drinking. He then says this is why he dedicated his life to science, and the moments he cherishes. I'm not sure if he means the success of the drink, but I think it was the drink. The second last one is about the cancelled press event, which of course was cancelled because of the death, although he is only told it was because of a security breach, and remains in the dark. Lastly, the truth comes to light. He went through the old logs and discovered the accident. Even worse, it was his test that killed the man. He confronts Thomas, who tells him the truth. David wanted to go to the police, but Thomas threatened him and his family, as he is an arsehole. However, David has a queer power on him, said fuck it and planned to take it to the press. However, the last entry was in October, so tomorrow was most likely when the bombs ended up dropping. Back up top, we can find the control room for the rocket. It is here we will find the deep range transmitter, located with the synths. This is the last room in the building for us to look at, and once again affords an impressive array of technology. Up the elevator we emerge into a bunker of sorts, and it is here that I believe we find David. If we go around this corner we can find a skeleton hunched up in the corner. Now it looks to me like this was someone hiding, someone who felt the need to protect themselves. Thomas had just threatened his life. Also, note the drink. His earlier comment of this being why he dedicated his life to science after he mentions drinking makes me think he may have had a bit of a problem. So he hid here, drinking, trying to find the courage to do what needed to be done. Now whether he shot himself from guilt or died because the bombs dropped is unknown, but die he did. So this was Arcjet, a private security R&D company. They received the Mars shot contract from the USSA. They were to make the XMB Booster Engine and the deep range transmitter. Thomas, the CEO, got paranoid and demanded a load of over-the-top security measures, and then hired David. However, a weight problem resulted in a possible delay of the rocket. Eventually, however, it was finished, and an event for journalists was set up. However, one snuck in several hours early and was killed. Thomas asked his chief of security Brent to cover it up. This was fine, the weight problem was resolved, and all was well. However, David found out about the death and that his test was what killed the man. He told Thomas he was going to the police, who then threatened his life, and his family's. We then find what could be the corpse of David surrounded by drink and a gun. The engine was never used because of the war, however the Institute was interested in the deep range transmitter, the other project Arcjet was assigned to. But that is all related to the quest you undertake here, which we aren't discussing. However, this is an interesting place, gives us a bit of insight into space travel at the time of the war. It is also the first such research facility we shall take a look at over the course of this series. But I promise you, it won't be the last. An interesting company making great contributions to science, and that company's dark secret. I hope you enjoyed a look at it. If you did, give the video a like, and if you want regular updates, subscribe. Any suggestions for lower or future videos should be left in the comments below. Better yet, go onto my subreddit so we can discuss them in more detail. It's linked in the description. If you wish to, you can support me on Patreon, which is also linked in the description. Go have a gander at the rewards. Follow me on Twitter or Facebook to get regular updates or have a wee chat. Any business you wish to discuss, email me at thenthapple.business@gmail.com and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, goodbye.